Hi everyone, what is up? Welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are talking about my top 5 most used eyeshadow palettes at the moment. Before, I used to be so into eyeshadow palettes, like every time I would buy makeup, it would be an eyeshadow palette, but currently I'm just more into like complexion products and different types of makeup products that I maybe wasn't into as much like a year ago, but because of that, I haven't done a like eyeshadow palette video in quite a while, and I still love my eyeshadow palettes, but I'm just not buying as many, so I thought it would be a fun video to share the palettes that I'm currently just using a lot and currently loving and getting my use out of. There are so many more palettes in my collection that I love and I use, but I just tried to think, which ones do I end up reaching for the most at the moment, and those are the ones I'm going to go over today. So if you are new here, then hi, welcome to my channel. I'm so glad you found it. I upload beauty videos 4 times a week and I would love it if you subscribed. But for now, if you want to see my top 5 most used eyeshadow palettes at the moment, then please keep watching. So I think I'm also going to rank these in order of how much I use these, so not necessarily which one is my favorite, but more so how much I reach for them. So in place number 5, we have the Tartelette Full Bloom eyeshadow palette. I got this a while back. I did do a full review video on this, and this is just the big Tartelette Full Bloom palette from Tarte. Now what I love about this palette is how much variety you get in here. So when you open it up, this is what the palette looks like. I hope you can see this because of my studio lights, but as you can see, there is just a lot of variety in this palette. You have some warm tones, some cooler tones, some lighter shades, some deeper shades, and that just makes me want to reach for this palette so much. Like every time I make a look with this, it turns out different, but they're all sort of like in the same color story, and I really like Tarte's formula. Now what I will say is I don't prefer the shimmers in here as much. I know Tarte isn't really known for their amazing shimmers. That's something a lot of people like often complain about in their palettes. In my Tarte Juicy palettes, I think the shimmers are fine. They're not like anything super intense, but I don't find them super lackluster either. But in this one, I do find some of the shimmer shades a bit harder to work with. So what I will usually do with this one is just create a nice matte look, apply a little bit of a shimmer, and then I will go over it with like a ColourPop Super Shock shadow or a shimmer from a different palette, because I find that the shimmers, like some of the shimmers in here are fine and work really nice, but a lot of them just aren't as creamy, so they're a little bit more difficult to really show up on your eyelid. But I still really like this palette. I really like the mattes in here, and I just feel like with this palette you get so much variety that this could be like the only palette in your collection and you're still able to create so many different looks. So I do really like this Tartelette Full Bloom palette. It's not like my favorite palette in my collection in terms of the quality, but it is one that I find myself reaching for a lot on an everyday basis. So that is the Tartelette Full Bloom eyeshadow palette in place number 5. In place number 4 is another palette I absolutely love, and I reach for this so much, and this is the Natasha Denona Mini Biba palette. I'm not into Natasha Denona eyeshadows as much anymore as I was like a few months ago, but I still really enjoy her quality, and I just find myself reaching for all the time because of how beautiful it is. Like I said, this is one of her mini 5-pen palettes, and these are a lot more affordable than her midi or a maxi size eyeshadow palette, and as you can probably see from the dip in the middle shade, this shade I absolutely love. It's so beautiful on the lips. It's a beautiful metallic shade on the lid, and it's just a gorgeous shade in general. The rest of the shades I really like as well. I find myself not really using the cream to powder a lot because I don't find that formula to be my favorite from Natasha Denona. I still use it, but I do prefer the other shades. But this color story is just really nice. You're able to create a gorgeous sort of like peachy warm tone brown eyeshadow look with this, and I just love every look that I create with this. It's just so beautiful, and I love all the shades in here. So if you are looking for a nice Natasha Denona palette, then I think this would be the one I would recommend. The Mini Biba, it's such a beautiful color story, and I think these are like 25 euros and $25, so they're pretty affordable as well. And this palette is just really great quality. So that is the Natasha Denona Mini Biba palette in place number 4. In place number 3 of palettes I find myself reaching for over and over as well is the Charlotte Tilbury Luxury palette in the shade Pillow Talk. Now I think this is one of her most popular quads. I see so many people talk about this one on social media, but I totally see why. It's absolutely stunning. So this is what the Pillow Talk quad looks like. Just a little disclaimer, this was gifted to me by Charlotte Tilbury, but that doesn't change my opinion. I just think this is such a beautiful quad. Like every time I wear this, I love how my looks turned out. If there's any certain color story I love in eyeshadow palettes, it would be this. Just a nice soft pinky brown eyeshadow look, and I just feel like the shades in this palette are really nice. The two matte shades in here, one is a little bit more pink and one is a little bit more brown, really can give you quite a bit of depth. And then the shimmer shade in the top left corner is really pretty as well. And then this pop shade is more of like a glittery topper shade, but it's so beautiful. I love wearing this eyeshadow palette, and every time I wear this, I love how my looks turned out. I just think this color story is so beautiful and such a beautiful wearable everyday quad from Charlotte Tilbury. So that is the luxury palette in Pillow Talk. I highly recommend this one if you are looking to buy a Charlotte Tilbury quad. Then in place number 2, this probably won't be a surprise for you, we have another eyeshadow palette from Tarte, and this is the Tarte Tartelette Juicy palette. One of the reasons I am reaching for this one a bit more at the moment is because it's in my project pan, but if you are a consistent viewer of my channel and you watch my project pan series, you probably see the Natasha Denona Midi Retro palette not in here. I used to absolutely love that eyeshadow palette, but at the moment I just feel a little bit uninspired by it and I'm not really reaching for it a lot, but it's still like a pretty palette. But this one I just cannot get bored of. It's a super beautiful everyday palette. Like, we definitely see a pattern in all of the palettes I'm showing you today. I just love my natural wearable eyeshadow looks. I love pink eyeshadow and brown eyeshadow. Those are definitely my favorites, and this palette really combines it. You have a more pink row, a more warm toned row, and then a more cool toned row. And I just find myself creating beautiful looks with this eyeshadow palette. I'm never uninspired by this. I feel like it's just really nice quality. The matte blends super nice, and every time I create a look with this, it never disappoints me. So whenever I don't know what look to do, I will reach for this one, and it just always turns out super pretty. And like I said, I'm just currently trying to hit pen on this because I absolutely love this. So that is a Tarte Tartelette Juicy eyeshadow palette. And then in place number 1, what other palette could I mention than the Tarte Major Dimension 2 eyeshadow palette. This is such a surprise still for me because when I bought this, I thought I wasn't going to love it. I only bought it because I had some credit on Cult Beauty, so I could technically get this for free, and I was like, let's just try it out, see what the hype is about. But I'm probably not going to love it because the color story looks very red on some people's reviews. But then I received it and I started creating looks with this, and it is the most beautiful palette I have in my collection. I absolutely love this. The color story is so up my street. I love the formulas in here. I love the shades in here, the variety of depth in here. But you can also create a very intense rosy smoky eye, and it is just so beautiful. I love the shimmers as well. They sort of feel a bit like glitter toppers too, but they feel very creamy, so they don't feel glittery at all. And I just feel like this is such a beautiful eyeshadow palette. I just can't stop using this. It's so beautiful. So this Tarte Major Dimension Volume 2 eyeshadow palette is definitely, I think, my current favorite palette in my collection. I reach for it all the time, and I just love my looks every time I use this. Okay everyone, then this is it for my top 5 most used eyeshadow palettes at the moment. I really hope you guys enjoyed watching. Let me know in the comment section down below what you think of these eyeshadow palettes. Do you also use them all the time, or are they maybe still in your wish list? And if you have any other palettes you use a lot, I would love to hear that in the comment section as well. I'm always looking for new makeup products to try, so if you have an eyeshadow palette that you absolutely love and you think I should try, then definitely leave that down below as well. And if you did enjoy this video, then I would absolutely love it if you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell if you don't want to miss any of my videos. All of these things would help me so much with my channel, and I'd really appreciate it. But with that said, and to thank you guys all so much for watching, I really hope you have an amazing day, and I really hope to see you in my next video. Bye!